Welcome all to the morning show with the blockchain basement. We have Bitcoin absolutely ripping past $64,000. A weekend Federal Reserve outlook. Can they still keep the rates this high? Or are we looking at a cut later on in this year? Plus, the GameStop chaos that has overtaken Wall Street looks like it has just begun. Welcome all to the blockchain basement. We are powered by Arculus, the world's #1 leading cold storage platform where you can easily secure, store, buy, swap, send, and receive your crypto with a simple tap using 3-factor authentication, keeping your assets safer than ever. Make sure to take control of your own money. We have some very, very disturbing news that just broke out of Cuba that paints the picture on why it is more important than ever to take control of your future for yourself. Make sure to use our code BASE10. Click the link in the description to take control of that right now. But there's quite a bit going on the macro side. Obviously, I got to get a little bit more comfortable here. There we go. A little bit more comfortable. But thank you for joining us. We got a good morning rundown. A lot of exciting things coming into the crypto markets. We're going to look at why some of the data that's skewed on the underside and what to expect over the next few months here. Shout out to you, Nicole Minnis, Rob Lowe, Steven, and Station C4, Shake and Bakes, James Slater, F Ukraine. Good morning, one. Good morning, all. So we have a lot of stuff going on here. Essentially, I've been talking for about a half a year on the United States following suit, most likely, in my opinion, with the Bank of Japan, looking at a tap out, a rate cut in June. Okay, so I've been looking at this for a while. Now, there's a lot of indicators going off that are pointing to that actually coming to fruition. Now, all the macro heads, the macro doomers, are seeming to be in a agreement with me. Yes, I am left-handed. F Ukraine, you know, it's the new roaring 20s. I like these. You got the spare, you got the 2 spares there, more comfortable. You know what I mean? It helps me move around the town a little bit more comfortably than I normally would have. You know, and I still rock the in the waistband. Okay, it's just sometimes you got to change it up so you don't wear out what you got. But we have some amazing news for Bitcoin. First, we'll get into the price action first and foremost, obviously. Let's see if this mat cap is working. Here we go. So Bitcoin smashing past $64,000. Now, pull this up on the trading view to see the exact levels able to pump up to. This is all on the heels of CPI inflation data. Now, I had a post this morning. If they were honest about how they took in the data, we wouldn't be in this situation, but we're governed by lizard people that lie to your face. So that is not the case. Now we have a break above $64,000, hitting around $64,500, $64,600 this morning. Really, you know, not looking too bad. I mean, and yes, you can expect more range, more pain in this, but essentially we're looking at a breaking point for the Federal Reserve. I was talking to Blood about it this morning, I was talking to Blood on like Monday, I think it was, about the precarious situation that the Federal Reserve is currently facing. If they do, in fact, choose to raise the interest rates from the situation that we're currently at now, they will break over 200 banks. Right around 220 banks are at risk of going insolvent should that situation play out. Deadwood with his G work heading out asbestos day. Oh my God, those are the worst days. Absolutely gutting houses. Man, I had my house that I moved into out here in Georgia had asbestos in it. We had to absolutely gut the thing. to get it ready. But it's wonderful to live in, and I enjoy it quite a bit. I love putting money into real estate. So let's look at why Bitcoin's pumping. There's a few things happening. And make sure, I'm terrible about this, but make sure to follow me. I'm going to be working on building out this Twitter account, just posting more. And you know what? I'm having to let the layers off. I'm going to let more of just my inner dialogue, my inner thoughts just flow on Twitter. So you can follow me at Druth Crypto to stay up to date with all that chaos. But here's what's going on the Bitcoin side. This is from Dennis Porter. Massive breaking news. A bill protecting your fundamental Bitcoin rights has been signed into law in the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma will now defend your right to self-custody. Shout out to Arculus. Make sure to take advantage of this right. The right to spend Bitcoin and digital assets, and the right to mine Bitcoin, and the right to run a node. It'll also ban additional taxes when Bitcoin and digital assets are used in the form of payment, protect the ability to mine Bitcoin at home, and eliminate the need for Bitcoin mining in a digital asset validator to obtain a money transmitter license. That is absolutely ludicrous that they will expect you to need a money transmitter license to be able to send to and fro in a disruptive technology that you can basically utilize across the world. This is them admitting defeat. Now, the right to self-custody law, given the recent onslaught of attacks on self-custody, there could be no more important time to send the message that the right to access self-custody, Bitcoin, and digital assets must be protected. The idea that we, the people, cannot hold our own assets in authentic is antithetical to American values. Without the ability to manage our own wealth, we lose control of our destiny and the chance to create better futures for all of our families. It's cooked. The federal government is absolutely screwed now. They cannot stop self-custody, especially when you have states laying down laws protecting our rights as Americans to utilize this technology, to utilize self-custody. They cannot stop this bull. This bull is coming through the China shop no matter what these lizards do. And really, seeing this signal from Oklahoma, I do expect to see more red states jumping in on this initiative. They see the power of, the chance and the hope that Bitcoin is bringing to people in light of all the garbage going on in the world. Bitcoin and crypto are giving people hope. People want that. They want positive outlooks, positive potentials for themselves and their families. And this is what it's all about. The fact that we see a state dissenting, they are not going to be able to push back against this. Yes, the federal government, so big and powerful. Honestly, the actual action of regulation, of enforcement, happens on a local and state level. Guess what? If you have a bunch of states dissenting from their plan for total control of on-roads and off-roads to crypto, there is no plan for them to follow through. Bob from accounting, yes, I did go on a little bit earlier today. I feel feisty. I love having a chance to kind of get all the macro and the Bitcoin out of the way here in the morning so we can get a good bellwether. In the afternoon, making it more about those nasty picks in the altcoin sector. Of course, in the deep dives on my bags, 10th Amendment, that is right. So now we've seen this coming. Governor Kevin Stitt is of Oklahoma that signed this bill into law. It was HB 3594. Historic step makes Oklahoma the first state to formally recognize and protect the rights of citizens to run a node, mine, and self-custody. Absolutely fantastic. There is no stopping this. It's good to see. Now, we also see some dissent from up north here. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's half-brother, Kyle Kemper, says immersing himself with others working towards Satoshi Nakamoto's vision is very enlightening and educational. This is a great conversation he had between Tucker Carlson, and the half-brother of Justin Trudeau, a.k.a. the new Fidel Castro. And he is seeing some dissent. These powers that be, they can talk to ad nauseum about how they're going to, protect the dollar. They're just going to psyop you into a sleep mode. It's not working. It's not even working on their kin and their close family members. $0 Giro gifted the Memby, got Tommy Marin access to the Discord OG, and $0. You're an absolute pillar for this. I appreciate every single one of you guys that's out there becoming members of this channel and letting us expand, because this channel is trying to bring information that actually matters to the masses before it's too late. You are the bread and butter, the base of the basement, man. Like, absolute shout out to you, $0. I gotta send you another gifty. Hoping that you're gonna be able to make the pizza party. We're gonna have a pretty sick pizza party here in a bit. I think Nick said June. I'm pretty excited about it. But now we've had Bitcoin explode, all based on us coming out with weaker inflation data, essentially showing that the inflation rate that the Federal Reserve is accounting for, yes, it is a scam. They don't account for, food or housing or fuel or coffee, for that matter, things that, are absolute necessities. Any psycho that doesn't like coffee, I mean, unless they're on like a mushroom drink, one of the lion's mane mushroom drinks, those are good. But here's the CPI data, the official notes from today. US CPI month over month approximately actually came out to 0.3% versus 0.4 in the previous reading. Estimates were at 0.4. So the US CPI coming down a little bit from their expectations. And the actual 3.4% versus 3.5% is what the previous reading was on inflation. Now, the estimates were coming out hoping that it would come back down. Yes, and shake and bake. How do you take away coffee from the cost of people? You know what I mean? Like, coffee is like one of those, it's gasoline to my engine, man. I can't get going. I'd let you tea. That's a good point, KO Kev. Good tea does the job, but coffee's still king for me. US core CPI, month over month, 0.3%, yada, yada, yada. Now, this, just a little bit deeper dive, the US CPI breakdown, percentage of CPI for all urban consumers, US city average. So unadjusted 12 months ending. And you have basically just a rundown of all of the CPI, food away from home up 4.1. Fuel and oil slightly down on, just the near term here. You can see utility piped gas services down 1.9. Commodities showing, and this is, of course, less food and energy, right? What do we count those for? Unbelievable. Down 1.3%. New vehicles down 0.4%. And used car and trucks down 6.9%. Oh my God. I love that. I love seeing that come back. Now, transportation services up 11%. Shelter up 5%, and energy services less energy services. What the hell does that even mean? Up 5% as well. So, there's a lot to be discussed within. Are they taking the data incorrectly? Is this just a farce? You know what I mean? And essentially, I think that the entire way that they account for inflation is completely skewed. And not skewed is the nice way to put it. They're lying to you. They're gaslighting Americans right before the election to paint out this picture of hope that they haven't cooked us to the absolute, I would say moon, but it's more like the center of the sun with our fiscal debt and everything going on with it. And we have some great notes from an account I love to follow, Peter St. Ange, PhD. Producer inflation comes in at a scorching 6.2% annualized, thrilling the easy money welfare queens on Wall Street. That makes 6 months now of accelerated inflation, both consumer and at the producer level. The biggest jumps were energy and government spending, but inflation taking off across the board. Wall Street, of course, cheered because they're praying for an economy so bad that the Fed turns back to easy money, and that is straight up what's happening. The economy is so weak, so ready to break at the spine at any sign of fiscal responsibility in the future. The Fed is in a very tight spot right now. And as I've said it over and over again, if they do raise, they'll break the banking sector. You'll have, a slew of things. Like we saw Silver, SVB, First Republic, all those different banks go down in March of 23. That was just a taste of what would actually happen if we had a widespread banking collapse. It would not be pretty. People would be beating each other over Bic lighters. And that's why, the prepper side of this channel exists, because, we are not about that just getting caught with your pants down, right? You always got to be prepared. So that's the other side of us. That's where we come in, because they push this so far They push the scam of civility so far that the moment that it breaks, the moment that it takes a little bit of easing off and things aren't so good, and guess what? Your bank on your online app not letting you through, you can't pull the money out. People are only about, I'd say, 3 missed meals away from extremely bad behavior in this current macro environment. You have to keep that in mind. So yes, we're doing great things on the crypto markets, but you have to always keep that in the back of your head, because the tune will stop. The show will stop at a point. Now, here's why I think it will stop. Now, this is a great take from Denver Bitcoin. Shout out to you. I'm from Colorado. Adam O at Denver Bitcoin. If your salary was $500,000 per day, every day, weekends and holidays included, since the Great Pyramid in Egypt was built, and you spent nothing, you would still have less money today than the U.S. government has borrowed in March to operate September of 2024. This is absolutely insane. The little breakdown of it: the U.S. government borrowed $1.2 trillion for 6 months of spending this year. Not a big deal. Yes, you would have indeed less money today than the amount borrowed by the U.S. government in March to operate through September. This puts things in perspective. We have kind of lowered the value of that word trillion. You know what I mean? We see trillions getting added to the deficit. No big deal. We're already at 34 trillion, right? What's another 1, 2, 20 trillion? We can start another couple of wars. Janet Yellen said it best. We are ready. You know, the Treasury is ready to just keep printing us off the edge of the earth. Now, thinking about this in terms of time, the amount of time that it's taken us to accelerate the federal debt levels to the spot that we're at right now, you know, you have to think of this. This is the 1971 spot. I'll move my head here. 1971, we pulled off the gold standard. This is really not a whole hell of a lot of time for a nation this magnitude of the United States to accelerate into this debt collapse. Now, is it going to happen tomorrow? Probably not. Is it going to be happening next year? Probably not. But you know what? I'm looking around 2030, that line up with the Great Reset, a big collapse, a big gutting of what we know as normalcy and civility to hit the mass population all at once. And then things accelerate from there, and they have a fertile landscape to build the next system upon. It's the ugly reality of what I see coming. And, you know, we talked about coffee being left out of the inflation report. Well, I'd be surprised if they took into account copper. It is on track for the highest closing price in history right now. Copper, heavily used in industrial manufacturing. One of the key components in a lot of what we want the world to be like in the next 10, 20 years. Automate everything. We have all these little systems, little screens to touch. You're going to need a lot of copper. You're going to need a lot of neon. You're going to need a lot of these random, weird commodities, essentially, that you are required to use in the production of them. So seeing the price of copper go up, I mean, not horribly shocking to me, because we're trying to build out and expand the internet economy at breakneck speeds right now. I know we're here in crypto. We feel like sometimes it's moving at a molasses pace. We'd wish things would just pick up. We wish that we would have blockchain on, you know, elections on blockchain. Now, the elections on blockchain, I still wouldn't be able to trust it. I still wouldn't be able to trust it. We're supposed to have 100 different organizations within the federal government here to protect our election integrity, and nothing. We get nothing from them. If we're thinking that they wouldn't arbitrage the blockchain, find some centralized blockchain to run the election on, and then foobar it from there, I believe we are kidding ourselves, folks. So keeping that in mind, there is all this nasty going on with the Federal Reserve, the situation that they're in right now. And it is my opinion that we're actually going to see a cut this year. Now, if it's in June, like I thought last year, awesome. But I do think at a point this year, there will be a cut. I do not think they have the capability to raise the interest rates. In lots of capability coming from their intrinsic connection to the banking infrastructure and the facade that everything is okay for the American public right near an election. They always keep those things together, especially right around the corner from essentially one of the biggest presidential elections in human history. Well, at least American history in my life. That is my human history. That is my existence. But there's been, you know, bigger leaders been put into place. But this is some of the other sickness that these banks are dealing with, and it is their commercial real estate portfolios. The collapse in San Francisco commercial real estate continues. Google has announced that they will not renew their lease next year on a 300,000 square foot location in San Francisco at a waterfront tower. With more and more people working remote, Google is shrinking its footprint and consolidating space. Google vacating this. Here's this, shocked Wall Street guy. I think I recognize this guy. This might be from the Alphabet company with the raised eyebrow there. Nothing too shocking there. Companies are leaving, even if they're not going remote, from San Francisco because it's turned into a drug-filled cesspool of degeneracy and death. And people that are, in the tech industry, obviously they don't want to get stabbed in the neck going to their fancy little office space. San Francisco's lost to control the out-of-control drug problem that they have, not to mention the cost of living has just lit the fire even more than anyone really thought possible. And now we see fentanyl coming in and creating the new zombie apocalypse. You only see my name here because I'm banned on the other channel. Well, welcome, Party Farm. Party Farm sounds kind of fun. You know what I mean? I always have the idea. I sit there on my front yard and, I have a rocking chair that's about 120 years old. It feels magical to sit on this thing. Sit out there with my iron and just look at the garden. There is no better feeling. It is my own personal party, my farm party, I guess you could say. But now this commercial real estate loss that's currently held on the books with all these banks that are sitting here begging Jerome, for the love of God, we can't take any more interest rate hikes, I think is playing into the decision-making for the Federal Reserve. This is the devil in the details that they don't talk about on their little podium while everyone's watching. Is he going to be hawkish or bearish? He's not going to talk about the true sickness that is dragging the banking system underwater in the background. It's commercial real estate exposure. It's ESG initiative exposure that is all in the red. Sure, there's some spots of green, but this is why Larry Fink is pulling away from the World Economic Forum initiative for ESG. He saw that not only are his books in the red from those investments, but the states that have economies built around energy production and the attorney generals within those states went after Larry Fink and BlackRock, said, absolutely not. We're pulling from your fund if you continue this focus, this investment initiative. Absolutely disgusting that they would have the idea to do so in the first place, to put you and me out of work in our local jurisdiction, to push their moon bags to the sky as they live in their illustrious towers somewhere in Davos. They got spots all around the world. But yeah, sure, absolutely got the local economies you're supposedly representing, right? Absolutely not. And shout out to those attorney generals in those red states that stood up for their people. You did not see any blue states actually growing a spine when it came to that. No, not yet, until they fall further under the ground, just like San Francisco has. Now, the chaos on Wall Street within GameStop has not even come close to its end, folks. This GameStop options volume is not even close to what it was during the 2021 meme era. Now you can see the put volume and call volume separated. Puts are in red, calls are in gray. And this is the total amount of volume that GME hit at kind of the heat of the last cycle. And you can check out the price action of it. This is Finance a Lot. The scale of the current rally compared to 2021. Keep in mind that we're only 2 trading days into this so far. So here's us. Here's the, oh my God, they're back. This is crazy. This is the signal of the end of the bull market. Oh my God, right there. And here is what happened previously with this thing. It was absolute insanity, you guys. The power of retail scares the shit out of Wall Street. When we retail are coordinated and focused, amazing things can happen, such as this. So don't think that you're not powerful. We sit here, we watch these talking heads from the top of their little pillars speak lies to us, lie to me over and over again, lie to everyone over and over again. They seem to get away with it over and over again, but they don't. There is a power in we the people. If you work together, you can absolutely move mountains. So just keep that in mind. This bull market that we're in right now, this forcing of acknowledgement of crypto, especially through Trump, now coming around, at once he was, I want the dollar to remain king, the Bitcoin that's being developed, this whole system being developed outside the world, the US dollar. threatens the US dollar. I think now he's realizing, wait a minute, our pension funds are shoring up their longevity with Bitcoin. Our largest asset manager is shoring up its longevity with Bitcoin. A lot of these states that are pro-Trump and are going to be red in the election are laying the groundwork and laws protecting people's rights to Bitcoin. And with that crypto, you saw in that law, protecting your right to keep crypto, not just Bitcoin, in cold storage. They're looking at the whole enchilada, and I'm here for it. Now, speaking of psyops and robots, we have Joe Biden. I'm just, you know what? Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to old Joe. I'm not going to say anything about this. You tell me, should we believe this guy and what he says? Let's have a listen here. Let's put it on.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Oh my God, this guy just will not quit. This is Joe Biden's official account. Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. I don't know what planet you live on, Joe. It clearly is not Earth. But in front of God and country, you were absolutely raked through the coals anytime that you tried to stand up and speak against the orange one. You got steamrolled. The only way that you won is through the verified fraud that was shown earlier on this show. I think I showed it on Monday or Tuesday. It's hyper aggravating to see the verification of what I know happened in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania come out, 3 years and 7 months too late, right? He's already been able to serve this, I don't want to curse, but this absolute abomination of a human being has been able to serve out his entire term, even though people like me and 80 other million Americans knew that he arbitraged the data, that he took one of the biggest things that we fought for away, to be able to vote for our own representatives, constituents of those representatives fought very, very hard. Our ancestors bled and died on this country for our, freedoms that we experience right now. And this person has tried to undo all of that in just a few years. Now, we are at the point where you need to acknowledge what's happened. Sure, you may have been psyoped. Sure, you may have been led astray by the mainstream media. I have compassion for you if that is the case. But for God's sakes, I need your focus. I need your support. Trump needs our support. RFK needs our support. These freedom fighters that we see coming after the swamp, as Trump so wonderfully explained, they need our help more than ever. The freedom fighters that we see fighting for our right to control our future, they need our support, you guys. So, with that being said, here is why this is a worldwide battle. Today, we have in prayers to this guy. Prime Minister of Slovakia has been shot. Slovakia politician Robert Fico is currently serving as a prime minister. Just days ago, Slovakia's PM rejected the WHO, the World Health Organization pandemic treaty, and today he was shot. It's scary when people see this, but it is but a pity to only have one life to sacrifice to protect the future of my children. What was written inside of this treaty was no treaty. This was full surrender to the World Health Organization. This was a full surrender to them. And, this legislation, it's not even legislation, it's just mandates rolled out from an unelected board thousands of miles away from where you live, mind you. It scared the shit out of many people that were thinking about going to the left side for this next election, thinking about maybe the calm has come down. They're not going to do that again. I can stay on this side of the fence and not really, worry about that. Seeing the treaty, as they worded it, roll out just absolutely scared the pants off of many, many people that were, kind of on the fence. Maybe things would come back to normal. The answer is no, Buttercup. They are far from normal. We have far from won this battle against these lizards at the top. It is just beginning, and get ready to fight for your children's future just the same. Now this from Aaron Day 2024, Truth and Transformation. The banking system has collapsed in Cuba. Bank accounts have been emptied, no cash at the ATMs. The money in your bank account doesn't belong to you. When this happens in America, we will get a bank holiday. The next day, we will have CBDCs and complete digital tyranny. Exit all banks. Now, the conversation. Why are we here simping for the development of CBDCs? It's a large conversation. Now, in a world where we are not governed by tyrants, in a world where we, the people, are the actual powerhouse, and the people at the top, the Elizabeth Horrens, these Gensler people, they would be beholden to representing our beliefs and what we want because they're representing us, right? Over the last, 50 years, that conversation has flipped. So now we have useful idiots representing them, putting on whatever hijab is hot that week or whatever Maxine Walters tells them to go do. Go surround them at their restaurants. Go make life hard for them. Go scare them, right? The useful idiots are doing the bidding of these elected bureaucrats, and it's been completely flipped on its head. Now we see this. CBDCs, the potential for a absolute destruction of our financial sector. And then the next day you wake up and CBDCs are all the thing. We can stop this. And it is being stopped. You see this fight that Florida is putting together against CBDCs, stopping it. If you have a few states like Oklahoma with its demand for self-custody dissenting against the entire idea of a CBDC, everyone's like, oh, it's impossible to stop this thing. It's coming no matter what. Guess what? Try to do it if you have 10, 15, 20 states that are refusing to acknowledge your CBDC as cash. There is no conversation to be had because guess what? It's the United States, right? If you don't have the states united and able to work together on a consistent monetary note, aka CBDC, you don't have the United States anymore. You have a balkanization. You have a civil war. You have things break out that no one wants to imagine, no one wants to admit are right around the corner. But this monetary conversation, we talk about all the political polarization, yada, yada, but the monetary polarization of is cash going to be killed for a CBDC only system where you have no privacy, where they can put expiration dates on your money, where they can literally just block you from feeding your family if you like the wrong post. If you do a little bit of naughtiness on the social media apps as they view it, they can shut you down. Now, this reality, because of channels like this and other channels, I think is more and more understood by people at the large scale. And with that understanding of the people, we've been reaching out to our local representatives, reaching out to our state representatives as well, making sure that they know we will not accept such a tyranny. And now we talk about bank collapse, what happens with that. It's a bank bail-in. They made a thing called the Dodd-Frank Act in 2007. Actually, it was 2008. When the housing collapse happened, we had basically just an absolute gutting of the markets. And what happened was the Dodd-Frank Act was put in place with the ability for bank bail-ins. Things like what happened in Cyprus, where the banks can now, because they realized we need to shore up our gambling addiction with people's money that's inside the banks, right? Hard to think that they would actually do that, but it's true. So they opened up the ability for bank bail-in. So now they can keep cooking the books to the moon, going to those nasty, nasty FHLB insolvency levels and be able to go into your bank account, take your money out to fix that problem in the short term so they can keep cooking it, obviously. This is the danger with allowing these organizations to hold our value at large. Not only do I disagree with them on a fundamental human rights basis, but I also don't believe them that my money is there. And I found this to be very true, especially during flu season when I was loving stacking, silver. I was always on the hunt for the silver dollars, like the actual silver dollars. And I just collected lots of coins in general. And you go there, you say, hey, give me, $50 in silver dollars. A lot of times they weren't even able to do that. They don't have our money in the vaults. They don't have it since March 14th when they were required to hold 0% or FDIC coverage. It's just such a scam at the large, guys. It's hard to explain how big this thing is, but right now we're focused on the solutions, and that is what matters. Now, we had this go on. And also, I forgot to cover yesterday, the Tornado Cash developer has been sentenced. This is a very dark day in this fight. It is a battle that we lost, but we will not lose the war. Now, this is from Colin Noir. Dexter Taylor has been sentenced to 10 years in one of the worst prisons in the country for making his own gun. And as the DA stated, his arsenal of 4 AR-style weapons, 5 handguns, 4 rifles, and over 50 rounds of ammunition, in addition to gunpowder. Oh my God, how dare he? Well, where is he from? He was from New York, folks. He was from New York. And you know what? Sure, you can let violent criminals go immediately once they're taken into custody on New York. No problem. They'll go beat up another person that is not looking at them in a very childlike manner. I mean, it's so disgusting to think about what's happening to the people of New York. I visited New York, and okay, how to get demonetized in 20 minutes. Okay, Garrett Miller. Okay. Maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe. But that's why you guys in the basement, you're what's keeping us alive. You know what I mean? I can't just be quiet about this stuff anymore. I try to stay even keel for as long as I can. It's just not happening, man. You go to New York, you're surrounded by drug addicts, by criminals that are attacking people in broad daylight, attacking them in subways, and you do not have the right to protect yourself with a firearm, with the Second Amendment that is literally built into our Constitution. Seeing how New York is approaching the Second Amendment it's not even part of the United States if you're acting like this. And remember what they did, what their police were doing in flu season, right? They were kicking kids out of museums, out of Burger Kings. Where's your papers? Where have you heard that before? Where have we heard, where's your papers, right? The Nuremberg Code was created for a reason. And what we saw with one of the largest armies on earth, the New York Police Department, absolutely broke my heart. As a person that was on track to join the force and do all the things, put my experience to use and help protect the community, I saw what happened in New York. It broke my absolute heart. It took a lot of that I don't want to get too deep here, but it showed me that the battle is on the grassroots level. The conversation, the narrative, the culture, the real war for our rights is on the cultural level. And that is why it is up to us. I keep saying that over and over again, but guys, it literally is up to us. We hold so much more power than we give ourselves credit for. And I really hope that this is overturned. This seems so insanely unconstitutional. It's not even funny. This guy trying to protect himself, but probably got hit in the back of the head, or one of his families did, out there in New York, just trying to protect himself. And you see that, it's been very interesting listening to Joe say, oh, you think you can come against the Fed? You're going to need a F-16 and you're going to need a M1 Abrams, all that stuff. Well, guess what? ChatGPT said it perfectly. Your families can't sleep in an F-16. Grandma's not hanging out in your tank. Our community at large wants to keep each other safe. And so a civil war takes that entire realm of safety away, and I don't think that they're ready for that. I truly don't, because of a simple fact. People who do not know what these things are should not instigate a new civil war with those who do. Now, I'm not going to say what that is. I'm sure most of the chat knows what that is. But the conversation that you're a toothless, gummy kitty cat that's coming trying to take down an old salty pit bull, just not going to play out that way. Now, this from the Diamond Nuts Nick Tater, things that make you go, The ship that struck Francis Scott Key Bridge had blackouts 10 hours before the crash. 2 incidents took place while the ship was docked in Baltimore, NTVSB said. Now, we're talking about it probably was hacked, probably was China, honestly, that hacked that boat, and that boat hit the bridge. But if you think about America, the only thing, we're at that point in Rome where the only thing that can destroy us is ourselves. And China, I think, acknowledges that. Now, what we may, what I do think we're going to experience is a grid down scenario. Over the next 6 years, we're going to have a mass grid down scenario. And in my opinion, it will be caused by China and North Korea. And in doing so, the thought process in doing so is because there are so many firearms, there are so many experienced combat veterans in this country. The capabilities of our population are extremely strong for those that are focused and have been on the 2A and jobs within it. So, and this from Veteran Crypto, small unit tactics nullifies much of the tech and gear of large armies. Indeed, Veteran Crypto, absolutely. Look around you. Look around your foliage, around your local area. Do a topographical intake of your location. Now, I got out of Colorado because it was mostly plains, came to good old Georgia. There are plenty of trees and foliage. And you know what? Heat signatures, they get skewed under plant life pretty damn well. A lot of people think that it's some predator system that's able to just zoom in right away. A couple layers of live foliage change things drastically. Now, I'm keeping this article in my mind. I'm keeping all of the hacks that are happening on our infrastructure in mind because it is my opinion that they will be perpetrated by an outside nation state in a bid to bring us to our knees here in the United States. You need to connect with your local communities immediately. If you haven't done so yet, get involved with your local communities, with your local commerce, with your local farmers markets. Maybe just try to offer some eggs to your neighbor. Now, good news. I do have a new neighbor that is not driving me crazy yet. Okay, I'm hopeful. I'm a hopeful romantic, and I think that this new neighbor is going to be absolutely fantastic, just like the ones on the other side of me are. Thank God. You know what? The guy ended up having to drop his price by like 40-50%. So shout out to the person that got the house. I think he was well ready to leave after dealing with me for so much time, but worked with UAS systems. Flare is not effective with trees, etc. Veteran, see there, that's it. Veteran knows, and Veteran, we got some special plans for you guys on just the knowledge dumps that this guy's got in his back pocket, you guys, and so much that we're building out in our Discord, gated access information. You gotta love it. You gotta soak it in before it's too late. Knowledge weighs nothing, and it might just save your life, guys. So with that being said, we're going to hop over to Discover Crypto. I will be seeing you at 2 p.m. with all of our altcoin picks, altcoin projections, and the next biggest thing. We're going to raid Discover Crypto. Appreciate every single one of you. Goodbye.